All right, let me talk about the mobile food trucks, mobile food units. First, let me tell you why did we get here? Why are we here? And I think it's very important to understand the why. This is not something that myself and the Public Works Director, I apologize, the Public Works Director would be here today, but he is actually out of town in a training session, so he cannot be here. But again, I'm not going to go into a lot of details. Again, we will send you this. But by definition, a mobile food unit, there's two types. There's a truck and there's a trailer. A truck is self-propelled. It moves on its own. A trailer has to be towed or pulled. In either one, they are never supposed to be used as a permanent facility stationary, because that literally bypasses all the building codes, and it's not fair to the others who have invested millions to set up and not comply with all the building codes. They should comply with what a mobile food unit is. But why we got here is this. Unregistered folks hauling in water with containers larger than the water holding tanks on the mobile food unit. Unauthorized connections, wastewater contamination, overflows, illicit waste dumping. Again, this is not a proper hookup. You would never hook up a house by water and sewer lines above ground like that. And these are not to pick on only one vendor, but these are just pictures that a few folks have picked up over the last several months dealing with these issues. Again, can you see how it's being hooked up to sewer? Can you see how it's being hooked up to disposal tanks, grease traps, brooms sitting outside? No restaurant would do that. Okay, that is a picture of what the sewer line looks like with, you hear the term fog, which is fats, oils, and greases that the city of Waco regulates. But this is what we were constantly running into when mobile food units dispose of fats, oils, greases improperly. And some would say, well, we don't have any, we don't do any frying. We just cook things. We all know when you cook bacon, when you cook sausage, when you cook anything short of eggs, you're going to have fats. Those washing of those dishes, where does that water go? Where does that full of grease go? What is the impact? Fats, oil, and greases. It builds up in our water system. It creates sewage backups. Most importantly from us, possible cross-contamination. We do not want, by no intent on anybody's part, we do not want by accident somebody to have cross-contamination, which gets into our water system, which affects the 4,000 or so hookups that we have. So cross-contamination is a huge factor. Water quality, and then I'm concerned also about the water quality that may sit in a tank at 105 degrees and then being used for cooking and or other purposes. This was causing our staff and additional staff work by having to come out after hours many times to unclog grease traps. Everyone says it wasn't coming from my business, but it's very interesting that we have those near food trucks that are oftentimes located. Be happy to answer any questions, but I do want to say a couple of things. We are not, and I've talked to several food truck vendors, we are not against food trucks, not at all. We just ask them to please comply with the rules and regulations that have been put in place. I'm going to give you a sheet. We're asking them to do just, I believe it's 6 different things that we're asking them to do. Remain mobile. Number 1, you are a mobile food unit. The key word there is mobile. Number 2, do not connect directly to the city. utilities. We would not allow anybody else to directly hook up into the city utilities without proper hook. And we have tried the warning route. We have tried to work with these folks. Our Public Works has tried to work with these folks for the last year. They would stop the connection. A couple of weeks later, they would go out there and they would find them reconnected again. Operate approved fog containers. Make sure that what you have is approved and your grease management practices are regular, not just when you get a call. Maintain valid permits. Make sure you have food handlers. Every restaurant in McLennan County has to have a food manager, and under the food manager, you must have food handlers who know how to properly handle the food. That has to be obtained from the McLennan County Health District. We're asking, all they have to do is relocate every 1,000 feet. We've had some folks that have talked about maybe building a mobile food unit park. That would be great, but that's going to have proper water hookups, proper sewer sanitation, and appropriate parking. We ask them to respect the setbacks. Please don't set up within 500 feet of another restaurant. It's really not fair for, and I'll just pick on Chick-fil-A, it's really not fair for somebody to set up a chicken mobile food unit 100 feet away from Chick-fil-A when Chick-fil-A has invested millions of dollars, or Whataburger. Our goal is to protect the locals. There are many, many good local restaurants in here. Christie's Burgers, Jim's Chicken, Molly's, El Conquistador. I could go on and on and on. These are local restaurants that have invested thousands and thousands of dollars in proper infrastructure, proper grease traps, follow the rules and regulations. That's all we're asking the mobile food units to do. I'm going to give you this handout, and we encourage them. We encourage mobile food units to review the ordinance and comply with it. We had one today that walked in, said, "I understand you fully. We know what you're trying to do. I wish that we didn't have to move and relocate away 1,000 feet, no more than 24 hours. We understand why you're doing it." I'm sure there's going to be one or two that are not going to like it, but it's the right thing to do for the protection of the citizens of the city of Bellmead. And the council did pass this unanimously, and we're excited and happy that they did. It's the right thing to do. I'll field any questions that you might have. And again, I'm not against food trucks. I've eaten at food trucks. So, questions?
If you had repeat offenders, why not, what was the idea behind amending the existing ordinance to cover all of the food trucks instead of focusing on the ones that were violating the ordinance?
I'm not sure at one point or another that they weren't all in violation. All were in violation of the original ordinance, which required them to move. Enforcement was not happening. That is the big difference. You can go back historically and look at the city of Bellmead ordinances and verify that ordinance required them. I'm going to verify that. Is that a correct statement? Yeah, I just verified. Yeah, so that ordinance is always now, did we tighten it up because of the fats, oils, and greases and the other issues and cross-contamination? Absolutely. But that ordinance has been in place for years. Enforcement was lacking. We are blessed now to have the staff that can enforce these. And this is no different than what a restaurant went through about 6 months ago. They completely agreed. And the inspector, not our inspector, but an outside inspector, said their plumbing system is causing problems. I cannot repair this system without doing a total upgrade. This was an independent plumber, not the city inspector. And they did, and guess what? They're in full operation, doing very well right now, even doing better.
Do you know how many mobile food truck units are in Bellmead right now?
I believe we were at, was it 8? Anybody in the back remember that exact number? How many?
I think there's 9.
10?
9
Yeah, we were at 9 or 10. And several of them have already completely complied. I haven't heard anybody say that it's a bad idea. What I did hear is, can you give us a pass? And there's a big difference. They all came to the council meeting, you saw the video. They said, we will abide by anything you want us to. We just want to stay. I agree with them. Abide by the ordinance, and you can stay and move. They could literally rotate.
So that would be the exception, I guess, to say they would still have to move every 24 hours, but they
Yeah.
can switch out locations.
They can switch out they can switch out locations, but they still have to have proper grease traps, proper water connections, proper water sewer connections. And then the other problem is, you hope that they locate in a parking lot where there's plenty of parking, but if they're located in any place else, we have to make sure that they're not impeding traffic. They need to have at least 2 or 3 parking spots where people can pull off. Hopefully they'll be in a parking lot and there won't be a problem.
Some of the food truck owners at the council meeting said that they rent out spots from different people around town. Where are they able to go that they don't have to rent out a spot or get permission if they're having to move every 24 hours? And where are they legally allowed to set up shop if they're not renting spots from people?
Nowhere on city property unless it's a special event. Now, that's between them and the landowner. Does that make sense?
Okay, so it's up to,
It's up to the landowner to let them have a spot.
so when you said parking lots, like they couldn't go in the Walmart parking lot?
If Walmart wants to let them go in their parking lot, Walmart can allow them to go in their parking lot, absolutely.
How are you guys planning to enforce these new regulations?
Well, again, for the most part, most of them have voluntarily complied. Some of them have asked for some additional time, which we're willing to work with them. Now, additional time does not mean I'm gonna come back in 30 days and ask for an additional 30 days and we're gonna be reasonable. If they need 2 or 3 weeks to relocate and find a spot, we're fine with that. Our goal is compliance. Our goal is not enforcement. Our goal is not fines. Now, if they choose to ignore it, then we will take them to court and let the court decide on the ruling.
When you say 2 or 3 weeks to find a new spot, so some are in the spots that they're in, and then after they find a new spot, they have to move the 1,000 feet every 24 hours?
Correct. Or they could pull out and come back.
So, like wait for 24 hours and then, yeah.
I believe, Fred, is that Fred or Bill, is that correct? Can they, if I rent a spot, I haven't read the ordinance word for word in the last day or two, but I'm trying to remember that portion. If I rent a spot. Okay. From the original spot they're in, but they come back the next day, technically, 1,000 feet away if the restaurant lets them. Yeah.
So like hypothetically, they could like just go back and forth between 2 spots as long as they do everything?
Yes, they can do it. Now, as long as they meet all the other regulations. Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're not against them. We just want them to comply with what mobile means. In particular, we have to think strategically for the long-term future. Bellmead Drive, hopefully, will be a complete revision based on that $8 million or $10 million grant that we got. $8 million, $9 million going here, and $1 million going to Concord Road. This street is gonna look completely different, hopefully, in the next 2 to 3 years. It's gonna be a lot more pedestrian and user-friendly.
With this, you briefly mentioned food truck park. Some people have been talking about that. Would the city ever consider in the future supporting a food truck park to give these food truck owners a home base of sorts?
Absolutely, absolutely. If someone wants to develop a food truck park, I think that's a great idea. No, I thank you for your time. Again, the message that we want to send out is comply with the rules. We're not against food trucks. The City of Bellmead City Council is very supportive of food trucks. but we'll also have to look out for the best interest of the 4,000 water and sewer hookups that we have, especially with the proposed expansion of commercial development and residential development that we have on the horizon. Okay? And as I told you before, there are two